Hello, everybody. Welcome to All Over Bar the Cricket. We have got some discussing to do today. The girls are flying. They haven't lost a game in the World Cup. Alyssa Healy with a big 100. Annabelle Sutherland, 5 for. They're going beautifully. We're going to talk about Shield cricket because the runs have dried up and we need runs. We're going to discuss that with two of the great run makers. The boys pick number 8, 9, 10, 11 in their Aussie team of all time, the bowling group. And then we've got the final over, of course, as I look down the barrel here. I see Blewy, who I just caught up with in Sydney at Tubby's Golf Day. Nice to see you again, Blewy. And Big Doss did the speaking at Tubby's Golf Day, Blewy. And actually, well, I shouldn't say actually, because I'm not surprised, did a very good job. Big Doss, hello to you.
JB, welcome, Blue.
It was good fun.
It was very good fun in Sydney. Good to catch up. And I agree. Absolutely nailed it, Haydos. The gentleman that did the emceeing, that was the easiest gig of all time, I reckon, because I think he, out of the half an hour, he might have asked 3 questions.
Yeah, that's all.
Best.
Yep.
And the way Haydos went. But no, very, very good and was for a great cause.
Hey,
I
Blue.
liked it.
I'm not a great golfer, as you know, and probably saw actually because you're in the group behind me, and I was mostly on beach or in the lakes. It was called the lakes for a good reason. I found
there's
most
lots
aqua.
of beach there. How
Yeah,
much sand is on that joint?
And
Unbelievable.
yeah,
It felt like I was
water.
in Dubai in the back
And
nine.
I saw at some stages, JB, because I was in the group behind Haydos.
Yeah.
He was raiding his partner's bags for balls. He must have ran out.
I'm telling you, Blue, there was some significant rating. Hey, but tell me, Blue, what was best off the stick? I'm just trying to work that out. It was just explain the rules because I don't understand it, but the man
All I know is I won it.
is you got it. What did that mean?
Well, how can you have best off the stick when you're having Ambrose off the tee and then everyone then's playing their own ball, but Stableford style, and then everyone else is... So you're picking balls up along the way. So I don't understand how you can have best off the stick. But...
Listen, all I know is that when someone's first across the line, they're first across the line. Whatever happens beside of that doesn't matter.
What was the prize?
Very nice Hentley Farm couple of bottles of red and a dozen tailor-made golf balls, which my older brother, Sticks, has already purloined. He was in my house for a minute and that box, Bluey, just evaporated.
Well, I should have gone to Haydos.
I should have slung it over to my side. Maybe in the drink the next time.
Let's talk some cricket. What about the girls? It's just that you can't take your eyes off the Aussie women's cricket team when they're playing. Chase down 330. Alyssa Healy, 142 from 107 rocks. And as I said at the top, Annabelle Sutherland, 5 for 40, all-round cricketer. England and Australia both undefeated, Bluey. So we have got a barnstorming game coming up.
Yeah, brilliant. And as we spoke about in the last episode, it's great that just about every game, and that's what very good cricket teams do, someone else steps up. And this time it was Alyssa Healy and Annabelle Sutherland. So the other thing too is, and we keep talking about how far the women's game has come. I mean, the thought of chasing down 330 even 4 or 5 years ago, you just would have said no way. And I know that the Indian grounds are fast and small, but doesn't matter what you're chasing that score on. That is a bloody good effort, and you've got to have some great skill in doing that. So, England are flying as well. So they've got their own little tussle going on. But I tell you what, Australian women in World Cups are bloody just about unbeatable. So they're flying. It's great.
So Doss, Annabelle Sutherland, 5 for 40 amongst 330. That's a hell of a performance.
Yeah. She's a great competitor. You know, when you think of the Sutherlands, you do think about that. Even James, as an administrator, was a bloody good competitor. He got the best media rights out of it. Will as well, playing some really good cricket. Starting to headline actually the potential of, is that another all-rounding option, for not this season maybe, but down the track. So great stuff to the Sutherland family. They've been significant to Australian cricket, haven't they? And what a little snack as well. India being defeated by Australia ahead of what we know that we're going to be working on over the next couple of weeks, and that is India out here with their big guns, which we can talk about a bit later, obviously, as well.
Yep. All right, so we move to domestic cricket and the Shield competition. For a start, I know I said this to both of you boys when we had a beer in Sydney. We've just had a weekend where we didn't have Shield cricket happening, and Bathurst was on, but that was it. Rugby League had finished, AFL's finished. I have no idea why these games weren't played over the weekend and made a feature of. But anyway, they're underway now. Konstas, a duck. LBW to Scotty Boland. Sanger 50, Blewy and Big Dos, but not many runs being made. I don't know about the surfaces these games are being played on. Are they souped up? But no one really smashing their hand up outside of Renshaw, who's now been ripped into the Aussie ODI team.
Yeah, that's right. It's a bit of a change from the first round of Shield cricket because there was a lot of runs scored and particularly from a lot of the top threes, top fours in all of the teams. But Shield cricket in the second round, looks like a ball is dominating bat at the moment. Geez, I feel for young Sam Konstas.
Yeah.
I actually ran into him at the airport the other day, and he's a great young lad. He came up to me and said, "How you going, mate? How's your boys?" Because he was good enough to sign a couple of caps in the West Indies for my youngsters. So, look, he's struggling. He looked like he got a pretty ordinary decision, actually. It looked like it was diving down the left side. But
oh, yeah.
Doesn't
that happen?
Sometimes happens, right?
Yep.
When you're not travelling well, you get those decisions that don't go your way. Weather ruled missed out in a low-scoring game. So I was really hoping, and I don't know whether it's sort of to do with weather conditions, but I was really hoping for some flat pitches at the start of the Shield season. There's no doubt that, and probably young Sam thinking going to the Junction Oval in Melbourne, he'd get a flatty. And there was 13 wickets that fell on the first day of that Shield game. So still a bit to play out. And I think those guys that did miss out in that first innings of the Shield game have got to try and cash in the second innings. But also there's other Shield games coming up as well. So we can't yet form too many decisions, I don't think, about our opening batters for that first test.
It may be just the sinister side of me coming out, Blue, but I'm almost the opposite to you in that way. I think they've had their only featherbed up here at AB Oval where it's been sun shining away for the last few weeks. I'm hoping that they have to work really hard for it. I mean, I want a dead set slug out. I'm disappointed, actually, that Matty Renshaw is not continuing on playing Sheffield Shield cricket. It's a great, obviously, opportunity for him to play international cricket, but I'm not sure one-day runs, even if he gets them, especially at the top of the order where you've, got a couple of slips for a handful of overs, and then if you want to just perform, you can knock it around. And I would have loved to have seen him in Shield cricket. It's a slug off now in South Australia. I was actually hoping to ask you, what are the conditions down there, because it's a low-scoring game, 200 Queensland trail by now, and you've got Aussie at the crease sitting with a nice start and a youngster beside him. So what are the conditions like down there today?
Yeah, pretty good. The sun's out. It's humid, so it's 28 degrees and maybe a bit of a storm. But I've had a look at the pitch. It's a typical Adelaide Oval deck, Haydos. It's a real new ball sort of pitch. Queensland won the toss actually and decided to bowl first. And normally the pitch can get better as the game goes on. So I think it's one of those surfaces where if you get through the first 15 overs and the ball softens up a little bit, you can really cash in. But I think it's a really important day for Marnus as well. Even though he's scored runs in one-day cricket and the first Shield game on a flat pitch, I think there'll be if he gets in early, there will be enough nibble around, and I think it'll be a decent I think place to have a look at how he's going technically, because we know that he's probably changed his mindset in terms of not just looking to survive. He wants to go out there and score runs, but also just wondering whether there's been a little bit of a tweak in his technique, and because that outside edge just keeps getting challenged all the time. So it's a big day for Marnus, I reckon.
Shaun Abbott subbed out. First time we've seen that happen in domestic first-class cricket. He's split the webbing and out of the game, big Haydos.
Opinions on that? Well, that's it. I'm not a big fan of too much radical change like that to first-class cricket. I feel like it's just part and parcel of the game. The only thing is, I guess, from a positive side of it is that you do get a chance if someone is not going to perform. And let me tell you, split webbings, they are ugly. I don't know if you boys have had one, but I got one. Sherwin Campbell hit one at the gully to me at the gully at the Gabba, and it just went straight through my hand here, went deep into my flesh. And then what happened is that, unfortunately, because you get so much scar tissue from them, what ends up happening is that when you redo it, like I was driving along one day, I went to indicate and give it and split it open again.
Well, this was an aggressive indication.
I'm telling you, it was a feather. Blue just went woo. Oh no! And then you basically, because there's scar tissue there, then they can't put the needle in to numb it, so you end up just having to get it stitched up. But they're an ugly injury and a painful one, so I can understand why he'd be subbed out. But I still like the old school, JB. I like the fact that you've just got to have that, that mental toughness and that toughness within the group to be resourceful enough to cover.
I split the middle one here, Bluey, playing footy, and didn't realise it. And I was standing there and I felt this warm stuff trickling down my leg. And I thought the bloke standing next to me was pissing on my leg. And I looked at him, and then I looked down. This trail of blood was flowing down my leg, and I've gone, oh, shit. So I ran off, and that's all I remember about it.
Well, you might have been talking about punter.
No. So, all right, that's the Shield wrap. Let's hope that some runs are made. Sanga's a good player. I know you like him, Bluey, so that's a start for him, a 50 in that game. But it's tough. I can hold these boys back no longer. This is my favourite part of this show, because it's when the real tang starts coming in between these two. And we've got number 8, 9, 10 and 11 in your all-time teams. This is a bowling group.
And it's Bluey's pick, isn't it, this week?
And it's Bluey's pick. So let's get started with you at number 8 this is the Australian team of your time.
Yes, that's right. So I'll just go through my first 7 at the start. So Langer, Boone, Ponting, Smith, War, and Gilly rounded out my top 7. So we all had Gilchrist. Mark War was a bit of a point of difference. He was my all-rounder at number 6. So I'm going to start with my number 8, and I'm not sort of locked into the batting order as such, but my number 8 is Shane Warne. So I don't think there'll be any surprises there, surely. I mean, the big DOS will have to go with Warnie as well. Whether he bats him at number 8 is another thing. But once you start listening, like we all know how good Warnie was, but listen to this Ashes record: 36 Ashes test matches, 195 wickets at 23 as a leg spinner, 11 fifers and 4 tenfers. It's quite unbelievable. Now, I've always been big on my team with how they go in England as well. He played 22 test matches in England, 129 wickets at 22, 8 fifers and 3 tenfers. So he performed better as a leg spinner in England. So no surprises. Warnie is my spin bowler in my best Ashes team.
He loved bowling in England. You could just see that. He loved the atmosphere and the conditions. And I'll tell you what I did, and I'm going to get to you in just a sec, Dos. I got a lot of humour late in Warnie's career watching him bat. It used to genuinely make me laugh, because he was trying to stay leg side of the ball, but then sometimes he'd get his head across, but his body would stay leg side. He'd get himself into the most awful batting positions of all time. But because he had really good hand-eye, he sort of somehow made it work. But I always used to think from the commentary box, if Warnie's watching tape of this batting, because he's a man that liked aesthetics, he's not going to like the way he's looking at the crease at the minute. But somehow he made it work.
Was his 99 against the Poms in Perth?
No, New Zealand.
New Zealand. Yeah, just to add, I mean, obviously, Shane Warne is my number 8, Blue. Keith and the King, as he's self-proclaimed. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Home and away record. I was just looking at that from a bowling point of view. He's actually has a better strike rate away, 54 away, 60 at home. That's overall, of course. That's just not specific to England. But, yeah, Warnie was a very special member of our team, obviously. And he did have he had a handy batting record as well against England. In particular, in 2005, he played a real, solid hand in that particular series. Got runs, got wickets, is a magnificent catcher as well. Let's not forget that. I think I've sort of mentioned that, and I probably should also mention my team as Blue did. So I started with Langer, went to Slater, Ponting, Smith, Steve Waugh, Michael Hussey, and Adam Gilchrist. They were my top 7. But Warnie, you've got all the numbers there. I think just to add some of that overall, 145 matches overall, 708 wickets, 37 fifer, boys, 10 tenfers. Best figures of 12 for 128, averaging 25 overall, strike rate of 57. And just to, the way I kind of formulated my bowling for was to have brilliance with spin, which is the king, and brilliance with the fast bowling and the spearhead. And then I went down to think, well, every spearhead needs a really sharp tip, and then it needs a shaft to drive the advantage home. So that's kind of how I went. So my spin brilliance, gents, none other than the king. He is and would be the best of all time, in my opinion, across any team that you'd pick. So he'd be up in heaven there toasting this, because he does love to be stroked a little bit, the king as well. And he would most certainly be stroked by us, because he's just a freak.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing about him, boys, that I just adored when he played for Australia, and DK Lilly had it, and I think Pat Cummins has got a bit of it too, is when you're really down and out and you need something, he just time after time found a way to deliver. I love that.
Yeah. That's what I say, because people, talk about our eras and my experience playing Test match cricket for Australia was whenever we got in trouble, after a break, Tubby Taylor or Stephen Waugh would say, right, Warnie, you're one end, Glenn McGrath, you're the other end, and they'd bowl Warnie would bowl either 10 or 15 over straight. Pigeon would probably bowl a 10 over spell, and they'd get us back in the game just about every single time. So,
He bowled
remarkable.
40,000 balls in Test match cricket. 40,000 balls.
Yeah.
And you know what? The other thing, JB, is that, we could sit here and tell stories about the king for 20 years, I reckon, because he had genuine stories. I mean, he was cut of a different cloth. Like, he'd come in the change rooms and he'd say, had dinner with Chris Martin last night and blah, 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 blah. And you sort of go, oh, really? I was just sort of in Punter's room. We'd had mac and cheese, a couple of beers. Like, so boring, right? So he's the apple of everyone's eye, and no matter what would happen in the next day, you'd sort of read Warnie's body language. If he'd had a big one on the night, he'd come in, he'd be almost glowing blue,
dishevelled.
I'd love the dishevelled look.
The dishevelled. And it's so exaggerated and so dramatic. So if we'd be trying to hide it, he wouldn't. Clothes everywhere, hair everywhere.
Yep.
One of the funniest things that I while I was thinking about you boys when you were talking about him, is that in 2005 we were playing against Durham. And we're staying at that Lumley Castle. And that castle, remember, was the one that's allegedly haunted. So the modern day boys of Brett Lee and Shane Watson, they were scaredy cats, and it was reported, that, there was something happening. They ended up bedding in together to protect themselves from the ghost of Lumley Castle. But there was another ghost as well, Blue. And then this ghost came in the form of 2 page 3 girls that were reportedly going to ambush whomever came in the castle walls. So I can't remember who the media liaison was at the time, but he said, look, boys, if you want to avoid controversy, I've been tipped off by the media that there's going to be these 2 girls that are going to be at the front. Whomever comes in the door, they'll just grab you. The snappers will get a photo and you'll be on page 3. So, of course, what we do is we all just go around the back of the hotel, the tradesman's entrance. And so we jump out the back and we're looking around thinking, oh, where's Warnie? No, the king just straight up through the front passage. 2 page 3 girls come in, bang, page 3. There's the key again.
That's a
Dead
challenge.
set unlucky.
That's
Dead
the
set
media
unlucky.
bloke just setting him a challenge. Warnie's like, I can't think of anything better than that. All right, let's get to number 9.
Okay, my number 9, and again, you could probably argue batting order. Bit of a toss-up between a couple of my fast bowlers, but my number 9 is the current captain, Pat Cummins. So he was, I think Pat's going to go down as one of our greats, up there with Dennis Lilly and Glenn McGrath. But Pat Cummins has so far played 19 Ashes test matches, 91 wickets at 24, only 2 fifers, which has surprised me a little bit. Also in England, he's played 12 of those test matches, 58 wickets at 25, and both of his fifers have come in England as well. So obviously very good fielder as well, Pat. Pretty handy with the bat on occasions. It was a bit of a toss-up actually with Josh Hazlewood for me. Pretty similar records in Ashes test matches, but Pat Cummins just got the nod.
I reckon, Bluey, when you talk about the fifers with him, he captains himself very unselfishly. Like, I reckon there are times when there's a fifer just sitting there, and if it was Hoff or Starkey, Camo would go, right, I will have another over or even another 2 and see if he can knock this fifer over. But when he's sitting on 4 for, he often takes himself off and deprives himself of the opportunity, if you like, because I don't know if he purposely does it or whatever, but I've always thought watching him captain himself, he's very unselfish in the use of himself in that sense. What about you at 9?
I'm not going in batting order, if you can forgive me, just for the sake of creating some interesting content now that you've chosen to Camo. I'm going to go Pidge. He's clearly my number 11.
No.
Clearly my number 11, just for the record.
You're jumping from 9 to 11, just randomly.
Well, I mean, I'm picking my best, 4 players.
Yes.
What, is there a rule against that?
Boss.
Yep, well, yes, because we're going in order. But anyway, so just so that everyone watching and listening understands, you're not putting Pidge at number 9 in a batting order. Right,
no,
good.
he's the giant Nuffy is well and truly at number 11. In fact, if we don't need him, we're going to bench him out, break his legs, and hope he never bats again. Although, I've got to say this about Pidge. I've never seen a more dishevelled and more disappointed man when he gets dismissed. Like, comes in the dressing room, just tears it a new one. And we're all on the theory that he's just trying to fire himself up to be bowling, because there should be no surprise that he is not castled pretty much every ball, because he cannot bat. They clearly only had whites and a ball out of bloody Narromine, the Nuffy, where he came from, because he couldn't bat. Okay, but let's get serious about Glenn McGrath, because he, like the former page that I had, he carries some weight, and he's such a significant member of the Australian cricket community, including what we love and we're going to see again in the McGrath Foundation. That test match is very special. He's hitting all sorts of targets to get those breast care nurses. He's sharing resources as well with other cancers. So off the field, magnificent Pidge. You're just a genius.
Yep.
On the field, you're my spearhead. I was talking about this before. The numbers are compelling. He's played 30 Ashes test matches for a start. A bit like Warnie, lots of time. 36 he'd played, as you said, Blue. 157 wickets, 5 10-fers. Bloody, just an extraordinary record. He's got no 10-fers, unfortunately. 8 for 38. 20 average, strike rate 46, economy rate 2.7. So he just bowl all day, but he takes 24% of our wickets as well, which is an extraordinary stat when you look at his overall performance of 124 test matches, 563 runs, 29 fifers, 3 10-fers at all levels. Sorry, at across all opposition, 8 for 24, average of 21.64. So his Ashes record is actually better than his overall record. Strike rate of 51 and economy of 2.5. So Pidge, he he a bit like Ambrose in my time, gents. I would rate those two as the best bowlers that I ever came across. Wasn't the searing pace of either of those two, but it was the relentless and ruthless as an opening batsman from ball one barrage that you would get. One of the great competitors, one of the guys that, would get hot, he'd flick his collar up, he'd get hot under the collar, and he just expected the absolute utmost out of his own ability. And he was just dead set, ruthless for such a nice bloke on the field. I tell you, just felt like you're in the fight of your life. His only discretion that I've ever had with Pidge is that in 2005, and maybe this was the cricket gods that were smiling as well, in the Lord's Test match, he took 5 for in that Test match, and it was actually when he brought up his 500th wicket as well. So he was wearing these dog shit pony cricket shoes that I don't even know how you stand up in, but he'd organised with Pony to get embroidered on the side. When he took his 500th wicket, he would then get that embroidered 500 wickets on the side of his boot. So he took his 5 for holding up the ball. He just rushes off and was like, "Where's Pidge gone?" So he went up into the Lord's change room, got his new boots, and continued to bowl with 500 wickets on the side of his boot.
That's not good enough. Yeah, it's not
Come on.
No. Not good enough, is it?
That's un-Australian. No.
No.
It's un-Australian behaviour. Yep.
Ooh.
That's like Nick Faldo having Sir Nick Faldo on his bag the day he was knighted.
Yeah.
Like he'd prepared for it.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. No, what a superstar.
Actually,
And-
that probably started a bit of a trend, Haydos, because a lot of the West Indians have had their names on their boots and that sort of stuff as well. But I remember those. I reckon those ponies were gold as well.
They were gold. Yeah, they were green, white, and
500
they were definitely gold and white. Anyway.
Yeah. But I agree. Poor form from Pidge.
No, that's
there.
sport. Now, when you talk to Tubby, we just did his golf day, Bluey, about captaining Pidge. He always says try and get the ball out of his hands. Like he took it personally when he was taken off, and he grabbed the hat and stormed out of fine leg. And Tubbs like, "You've bowled 12 straight, mate. You can't keep bowling." Like that's just to your point, Haydos. He just wanted to be involved in every second of a day's play. All right, Bluey.
Okay, well, that takes me down to number 10. Now, I want in my bowling attack, which I think is elite, absolutely elite, but I want an enforcer as one of my fast bowlers as well. So, now there's been a few over the years, guys like Brett Lee, even Jason Gillespie, when he was up and about early on in his career, could bowl up around about 150 Ks, but I'm going for a man who at one stage had the handlebar moustache. And this man, his 2013 exploits basically got him in my side because the Poms still talk about how scared they were during that series. And that is Mitchell Johnson, who was just talk about competitors, Haydos. This man was the ultimate competitor as well. And not going to meet a nicer bloke than Mitchell Johnson. But on the field, good luck. I came across Mitchell Johnson towards the end of my career, and I'm glad I didn't get him when he was at his absolute peak. But he played 19 Ashes Test matches, 87 wickets at 25.8, 5 fifers. But in 2013, listen to this, and I still remember working on that series because of Mitchell Johnson, who hardly bowled a bowl below 140, 145 Ks. He was unbelievable. 2013 Ashes series in Australia, 37 wickets at 14 or a tick under 14. I think it was 13.97 or something at a strike rate of 30. So virtually off. I mean, the rest of you guys, Haydos, did brilliantly as well. Don't get me wrong, but his influence over that series and just the mental torture he had over the Poms was brilliant to watch. And he's my enforcer at number 10.
Ended careers, Bluey.
Yep.
Jonathan Trott I don't want to do this anymore. I'm out.
Correct.
I mean, just I can't remember that happening. And from the commentary box, I just remember watching and thinking, these blokes are legitimately terrified, and you don't blame them. You know, I mean, that is hostile what he was doing, and also wanting to physically punish. That's the thing, not just wanting to knock blokes over. He wanted to physically punish them, and it was like it was awe-inspiring to watch. So I'm glad when you said the moustache, I thought you were just for a second was swerving Mervyn Hughes in there.
No.
And I was going to rejoice in you picking him too, because he's a worthy man in the sentence. But yeah, Mitch Johnson, a superstar. Go, Doss.
Yeah. So I've also got Mitch as my. I said it before. He's the tip. You've used the word enforcer. He's the spearhead of my attack without any doubt. Mentions and worthy mentions of Brett Lee. When you look at the fastest balls of all time, you've got, mostly Australians actually, apart from Shoaib Akhtar. But you've got, Sean Tate up there.
Big Sloan.
Big Sloan, who was, by the way, absolutely terrifying to face in the nets. Almost, like I used to love facing fast bowlers in the nets, but he was almost like, it's just too hard. I want to play. I just want to play. I don't want to be hurt, because he had no idea where they're going for a start. And then Brett Lee, obviously, in the 160 category. Jeff Thomson. Talk about him, like if we were picking, impact players, he ended careers as well. 2 up. What a character of the fast bowling fraternity as well. My first coach at Queensland, which was just very entertaining all the time.
Yes.
Talk about, characters that, just of a different cloth. He would introduce you to all sorts of unbelievable people. Mitch. Mitch, I feel a little bit for, because in his career, he probably had a very settled lineup for Australia. And then he had the sort of tumultuous years of the leadership struggles with Ricky and Pup. And I think he kind of like danced between those two eras, if you like, as they were reforming in 2010. And he kind of lost his own potency and all that. This is a bloke, by the way, you talk about potency. This is a bloke that I saw with my own eye. Talk about his damage on the field, off the field. He was sparring that bloke there, Andrew Symonds, and he literally punched him out. He was so fast with his hands. He's so powerful. Simo was just floored. And he did it like that. I mean, he had the skills, obviously, as well, being Taekwondo master. But on the field, again, so aggressive. He wanted to be in that fight. He needed to be in that fight. And, I speak about boot camp a lot, but Mitchell Johnson in that boot camp, as we readjusted in 2005, absolutely brilliant. So he's a hard man. It's just, he's hard mutter. That's for sure.
One of the first years, Blewy, of Triple M cricket, I can't remember where we were. I got a feeling it might have been the Wacker, actually. And I don't know how this conversation started, but Mark Howie, started spruiking his own rig, started telling everyone how ripped up he was and how good the rig was and everything. And at one stage, he got the shirt off to prove, what sort of a rig he was rolling with. And admittedly, no fat on him anyway, so that bit was good. But there was a little too much talk coming out of Howie about the quality of his rig. And Jono was in the room commentating with us. So I copped about 5 minutes of Howie talking about his own rig, and then I just turned to Jono. I said, go on. And Bluey, he's just gone with the shirt, and I said, Howie, that's a rig.
There's
a rig.
There's that great photo of coming across one of the grounds in the one-day gear of Shane Watson at his absolute peak, Andrew Symonds, and Mitch, and all of them are just chunked out of ice.
Yeah, one of the great photos. Exactly, I was going to mention that as well. They were doing a lap, and I reckon they had tracky pants on, and hot day, and very, very good rigs. Unlike yourself, JB, who had one of the sloppier
You're only
rigs.
Picking me out of this. Have you not seen the bloke in the middle of this discussion?
Oh, now hang on. Let's
You're
just hold
aiming
the
rig at me.
mate. Your rig hasn't changed. It's always been elite.
No, Bluey and I room together, and there's lots of things I can claim about myself, but having a Mitch Johnson rig is not one of them. That was never ever
Not
ever.
many blokes on the planet. That's the thing.
No.
It was that good.
All right, so where are we at? We
11.
So we've got Pidge at 11 for the DOS, and where are you going? Same spot?
Yeah. Well, I've got McGrath, so you've got one more spot coming up, haven't you?
I have,
Are you
mate,
done
yeah.
with your team? Yeah. Well,
I've got one more.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So McGrath is my number 11, and he's permanently will never go any higher than number 11, the big Pidge one. And you've mentioned his stats, so I won't go back into that. But talking about bowling loads and stuff these days, Pigeon would not have been influenced by that at all, would he? Because they missing test matches, and I know our Australian setup now with our bowlers are very good with that as well. Like I know Starkey wants to play all the time, Hazelwood, Pat as well. But McGrath was so resilient and just so repeatable, his action, and used to bowl with, and all the talk now in county cricket and test match cricket is bowling with a scrambled seam. Well, that's basically what Glenn McGrath did for most of his life. He probably started to swing the ball a little bit towards the end, but he'd just get in so close to the stumps, would almost bowl right in front of the umpire, which is what Warnie did as well. Warnie would get in so close and that ball would come out straight in front of their eyes. And then he just challenged that channel, and he wouldn't know either which, if there was something in the pitch, whether it's seam away or seam in, but he just put that ball in the right area and just challenge the batters the whole time. So one of the greats, Glenn McGrath, one of the great blokes. He was an absolute pain in the ass at times, but I tell you what, he could bloody play cricket, or he could bowl at least.
Well, Bluey, everyone talks about that incredible catch, Michael Vaughan at the Adelaide Oval, where he basically dived with his eyes shut behind those horrible sunnies, and then the ball landed in his left hand and somehow finished in his right hand because his hands weren't together trying to take an outfield catch. Everyone talks about that being a miracle. I always say to him, Pidge, that's not the biggest miracle attached to your career. The 60 you made against New Zealand at the Gabba, for anyone that knows how bad a batsman you were and how you didn't know which end of the bloody thing to hang on to, the fact that he made a 60 is, like, still to this day, one of the more incredible things I've seen in the game of cricket. All right, one more spot for you, Big Doss.
So I've gone Pat Cummins as well. As I'm calling him this category of bowler a workhorse. It's much better than that, obviously, Pat Cummins, but in that same sort of category, I've got Joshy Hazlewood. So there's sort of one spot for this category. Jason Gillespie, Ryan Harris.
Yes.
Ryan Harris's numbers are
amazing,
unbelievable, right? They're really, really special. Against England, 12 matches, 57 wickets, 4-5 for 7 for 117, averaging 20 with a strike rate of 43. So has to mention that. And the other one's Pete Siddle, 24 matches, strike rate of 59, averaging 29, 4-5s and 80 wickets. Dizzy as well in that same 18 games, 65 wickets, averaging 29 at a strike rate of 49. These are great, and I won't go into Joshy's numbers, but gee, I tell you what a tough category in my team to pick from. And you've done the numbers already. The thing that kind of sets him apart from anyone else, in my opinion, Pat Cummins, is that as a bowler to left-handers, he is just so extraordinary at going around the wicket. I mean, Glenn was pretty good at it as well. He'd get the ball to tail Pidge. But around the wicket, Pat just blows anyone away in that particular category. You add in also, his batting, which is really handy, and I agree. You'd probably put him. I'd probably go Mitch instead of Pat at number 8. Then I go Pat, and obviously then Pidge. But Yeah, just a really solid all-round cricketer. Genius, in fact, and I can't wait, when you look at the potential of what his career, what is he now? He's 32 at the moment. So, he's still probably got 3 or 4 decent years of cricket in him, at least 3 years of decent cricket in him. And those numbers are going to be something special at the end of it.
Work your way through that attack, Bluey.
Oh, no, exactly.
Like imagine trying to get your way through McGrath, Johnson, Cummins, Warne.
Yep, correct. And then, you throw in, in my team anyway, both Wars to throw in a few overs as well. I don't think Justin Langer would get anywhere near bowling an over. But in terms of, I was just thinking about that then, Haydos, with Warne, Cummins, Johnson, McGrath, all fantastic fielders as well. Like Mitchell Johnson was so athletic, had a rocket arm. Pigeon had one of the great arms as well. Like just about every ball would come straight over the bails or right next to the stumps. Good ground fielder as well. Pat Cummins is so athletic and Warnie's such a great catcher. So bloody unbelievable bowling lineup that.
Well, and Mitch Stark, we haven't really discussed him much either, and his record is phenomenal. So, no, that's a tough bowling group to get into. Hey, Big Doss.
Yes.
You were talking about the great Jeffrey Robert Thompson before, and it sparked a memory of one of the proudest things I own. That's my old man at the Wacker, and that's Tomo in his prime. That's about 1975. Yeah. Now, no helmets then, Bluey, so the old
he's trying to take him on.
Stixie's taking him on with a cap on. But have a look have a look how far back onto the sticks the old boy is. He's almost treading on him.
Give yourself time. Give yourself time, Stixie. Good boy.
But look at the rig on Tommy. You talk about natural build.
Yeah.
Like the chest and the shoulders. And I, as you both know, well, you were both there actually. You were playing for Notts, and Doss, you were in the team. We did the 2001 Ashes together for 7. And even at that stage, and I don't know how old Tomo was at that, he would have been in his mid to late 50s probably then. He could stand, Bluey, with his legs straight and put his palms on the floor. So not touch your toes. His palms were flat on the floor. Just a naturally, incredibly built human being. Even
I played golf with him about 6 months ago, and he tell you what, he hits a very, very good golf ball as well. He said, my shoulder's a bit sore to use my woods at the moment, but he'd get a 3-iron and it'd just go miles anyway, so highly talented athlete. And, it just raises the question as well, JB, and Blue, I'm glad that you mentioned it as well around workload of bowlers, because it seems to me that the back of staff are the only ones that really want to put limits on bowlers bowling. You mentioned, the 3 guys before, and they just want to bowl. McGrath just wanted to bowl. I just wonder around the overcoaching of bowling as well. Someone like Jasprit Bumrah is a prime example of that. Just having natural actions that aren't, textbook actions, but they work. In a batting sense, it's like Steve Smith. The only technique that really counts is the one that gets runs or takes wickets or creates velocity. You wouldn't have thought Mitchell Johnson, had a classic kind of action either.
No, I think they're all very good points. I'm going to get to that actually in the final over, which we might as well get ripping into now, because I'm going to start here again. I'm going to show you this because it's just been released. Stuart Broad on a podcast. Now, Broadie's coming out to work with us, and we all can't wait. And he's still diving daggers into Australia, even though he's not playing anymore, which I absolutely love. It's probably the worst Australian team since 2010, when England last won, and it's the best English team since 2010. I think he's more talking the series out here, 2011, whenever it was. But there's a bit of smack involved in that. But do we agree that it's the best England team since they last won out here?
Well, I think I should take first ball here when it comes to Broadie. For a start, I actually love his podcast as well. It's called For the Love of Cricket.
Yep.
So anyone out there, please listen to that. It's a beauty with him and Joss Butler going head-to-head. And actually his remarks were in retort to Davey Warner's remarks, basically, saying that the Poms, were only really chasing the moral victory, which was absolute gibberish. I don't think I've heard a comment, as bad as that in the preparation for an Ashes series. Gibberish. But then he made the comment about 2010, and he was really confident. Like when you listen to the podcast, he was like really backing it up. Obviously, they won that series, right? 3-1. They got rained out in Brizzy, and then they went on to win convincingly, especially the last two test matches. I think we got them in the second test, but or might have been the third test. Sorry, I think we got them there and won by a lot, won by like 230. But certainly, what he expresses is just how together they were as a group. And that's when you talk about teams, the first thing that comes to mind is not necessarily their results, but as a collective group, were they prepared to really like knuckle in together? And, 2005, you hear about Freddie talking about that with Harmy and Hoggy, Gilo, those guys just really kind of like staying firm, staying together. And so when you look at this side, I feel that they do have a very good team. It's a well-settled team. It's a well-rounded team. Their spinner is probably the only department where you think, is Bashir really going to make an impact on this series? But outside of that, they're a very settled batting lineup. They anchored it by Joe Root, who's kind of found the right combination of how it is that he's going to punch on in the Bazball era. They've got Brendan McCullum itself, who just is a good, he's a good tourist, as you say. You have bad tourists and good tourists. Well, he's a damn good tourist. He gets boys together. And then you've got their captain as well. That just seems to galvanise players and want to make them play for you. So I tell you, we've got a lot of questions, ahead of this series. They are, in my opinion, the best touring side that I've seen come out here, almost full stop. That's what we're facing as a whole.
Well, Bluey, England have won 22 of 35 tests under Brendan McCullum. They'd won 1 of 17 before he took over. So you've got to say it's been a great appointment. And are they going to win the series? Well, that's going to remain to be seen. But can you argue with Stuart Broad that this is their best team since 2010-11?
Well, probably not. And they're the most settled. I think that's where I think is the danger for Australia. I mean, they've been set in their ways for a long period of time. I still think that there's some chinks in that team. I don't think they're what have they actually done? I mean, they're winning individual test matches, but they can't seem to win series. And we know that they've got to beat Australia on the scoreline. We hold the urn at the moment. So the thing for me is that it is a great build-up for this. I can't remember a build-up like this for an Ashes series for a long period of time. In terms of Broadie's comments, I love that he's throwing these daggers out there as well. It only enhances the anticipation for this series as well. And by saying it's Australia's worst team since 2010, he's not saying that it's a bad team. He's probably saying, from a personnel point of view, maybe we're not as strong as we have been because we don't know what our top three is, and we're not that far out from the first test match. So we've lost guys like Warner, who's been brilliant at home. And now that Pat Cummins is not playing the first test match, possibly the series, we're not as strong as we have been. There's no doubt about that. So, Broadie, brilliant. I love it. And looking forward to working with him during the summer. But it's intriguing. It really is. Can't wait.
I don't know where Broadie lives. He's probably London. He's just biting the end of the grenades off and going, and then he just sits back and then just bites the end off another one again. It's just brilliant. It's absolutely
he did
brilliant.
play the protagonist when he was playing.
Oh, yeah,
so he's well adversed. Oh, he hasn't got into 7 commentary box yet, though. So he'll have to be very cautious because we all wear armour-plated jackets.
All right, Virat Kohli has single-handedly made this upcoming white ball series compelling. Bluey?
Yeah, absolutely. He's box office, no doubt about that. Wherever Virat goes, whether I think he's living in London now. Is that right, Haydos? He's
been
there with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, he is particularly his white ball cricket. I mean, I was with the Australian team, lucky enough to be with the team for 3 years, and we played India a lot in those 3 years, including a World Cup. And white ball cricket, no game was ever safe with Virat Kohli either putting a score on the board or particularly chasing. Like probably, I mean, you've got Michael Bevan up there as well, but he'd be the best chaser I've ever seen, like in terms of, from a strategy point of view and a skill level point of view. So, yeah, any team, particularly white ball cricket with Virat Kohli in it, is they're always going to be in a game and particularly in a series.
He's played 302 matches, one-day matches. 14,000 runs. And what about this for an average in one-day cricket? It's unbelievable. It's 48. So for me, with a strike rate of 137, like when you think about T20 games, that's the sort of strike rate you're thinking about. But his key is he is gold star with his fitness and preparation. So in my head, I've got him kind of focusing on 27. He wants to be a part of that. Rohit Sharma, he's cut of a different cloth, like he's Mr. Easy Going. He's kind of like the Rolls Royce, a bit like Mark Ward. Just, you put him up on a hoist and off he goes. And he's always going to have a tummy banana like you did back in the day, JB. He's just an easy, look, Blue. He's just an easy, like going sort of character. And they're a better side with him in it too, because Virat is high octane. I mean, he is a Ferrari. He's full noise. He'll be gesturing to the crowd. You'll have Geo Star that'll be focusing on everything that he does on a cricket field, and everything is so big that it's hard not to polarize, your views on him, because he's so bloody good. He's so active, and he can just drive results. And in particular, as Blue mentioned there, he is claimed in India to be the chase master. And one-day cricket is one of those great games where you can kind of set your stalls out, like the girls did the other night. Alyssa Healy and co. Just sort of, okay, we've got 300 runs, we've got 50 overs. You do the maths, he'll just sort of punch it in, and away you go. And he's got the perfect game because he is never under any pressure. He's always off strike. And interestingly, where his big advancement is in spin. He's actually learnt to play a really good sweep shot, which puts us in a very tricky scenario as well with our bigger grounds where you're not always trying to hit sixes, but find gaps on the onside. So he's perfect. It's going to be an unbelievable series again. India and Australia, it's box office stuff, and driven by two of their great warriors in Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli.
Bluey, had the very, very great privilege of working on the President's Cup at Royal Melbourne, and for 4 days in a row walked inside the ropes with the great Tiger Woods, and literally a metre and a half away for 4 days. Why they gave me that job, I have no idea. I basically walked around and pretty much said 3 things a day. So I was just a spectator with a microphone.
Good.
But it was, and what I noticed with him, I've also noticed with Virat Kohli, and that is they've got this ability to focus on something about 15 metres ahead of them that isn't there, and their eyes never deviate. So all this mayhem was happening around Tiger Woods, and he never looked like he acknowledged it, saw it, never looked anyone in the eye, never spoke to anyone. He just looked straight ahead and never moved. And when you're at the cricket ground doing our job, with the TV, and you're out in the ground and Virat's out there getting ready, he never speaks to anyone. He never looks at anyone. He just looks straight ahead and his focus doesn't change until he gets to the spot on the ground that he wants to start warming up on. And then when he's finished, he walks off the same way. And as I say, it's Tiger Woods-esque, the sort of presence that Virat Kohli has. All right, you touched on this earlier, Dos, and I didn't interrupt you, but I almost said we're going to get to this in the final over. I ran into Glenn McGrath the other day, and I said to him, worried about Como not playing, and Pidge looked at me and he said, well, the only way you've got a hot spot in your back is if you have a scan. So why have a scan? That was his rationale. And I thought only Glenn McGrath could say that sentence. He said, mate, I knew I had stuff wrong with me, but I never had a scan because I didn't want to not play.
Yeah, you light up like a Christmas tree. I think not just bowlers, batters as well. But yeah, I suppose it's a tricky one, isn't it? Because you want to make sure. We said that Pat was 32, didn't we? You want to make sure that you've got your career's 70 odd Test matches. He wants to get to 100 Test matches. He had, two really significant breaks in his career of a couple of years. The one, right? He just didn't play because of his
even
injury
more.
concerns.
Early
Yeah,
on.
probably was more. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's just, it's one of those ones where it's hard to, be an emu and bury your head into the sand when you've got such good technology and such good rehab opportunities. But you also don't want to succumb to the back room. Sometimes they are as big a threat as what, your own preparation, your own ability to be able to survive in the game and thrive in the game, and just doing the work. Sometimes you do need to be pretty stubborn. And Pidge was great at that. I mean, but he's also a very different bowler. We mentioned, Bluey mentioned before how efficient he was, and, he used his height. I mean, Pat's got a very different makeup in terms of a bowling unit. He's a bit more of an enforcer. He has to get through the crease. He puts a lot of energy out the crease, and it looks more difficult, put it that way.
I don't think
So
Bluey, he was being critical of Cummo. All he was
No,
saying is,
no,
I just never wanted to scan because I never wanted to find out something's wrong. I mean, Pat's had a history of back issues and he does need to be careful, but that's how the brain of Pidge works,
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I would imagine that a lot of the football players in any other code would be exactly the same. Like that, you just don't want to know sometimes whether there's a fracture there or not, because you don't want to miss any games. But it's obviously due diligence, isn't it? And it's trying to prevent, like a hot spot is the precursor to a stress fracture. So if they get it early and then it's managed right, then Pat Cummins doesn't miss 12 months of cricket. He misses a month or so two of cricket. So
Yep.
that's why they get it done. And I mean, there is rumours going around that it is actually a stress fracture, which we hope it's not. But I wouldn't imagine it can't be a stress fracture because he's just resumed running as well the last couple of days, Pat Cummins. So yeah, let's hope he's out there. But it's actually weird that he's getting hot spots at 32. That's the other thing. Normally,
yeah, usually it's sort of 19, 20, isn't it?
yeah, well, even sort of into your mid, 25, 26, there's still back problems. But certainly when you get to 30, you're normally over all that. But let's hope he's out there at some stage.
All right, we've got to wrap up. I just want to say this quickly. At the end of Tubby's Golf Day, we had the dinner that you spoke so brilliantly at Big Dos. I had the great privilege, Bluey, of sitting on the table with James Tedesco.
Yes.
The Brownlow
Teddy.
medalist of the NRL, the Dally M winner. And what a nice bloke. Jeez, I just sat there going, this bloke's taking the piss. He's so nice. He just engaged with everyone on the table. Everyone was coming up asking him for photos and autographs and stuff, and he was so brilliant with everyone in the room. He stayed right to the end. What a delightful man.
Yeah, I was the same. He came up and introduced himself, and we had a good chat. So, obviously a bloody champion player. I'm not sure why he's not playing for New South Wales still, Dos, but they've obviously got their reasons. But yeah, and actually for a league, you could actually have a conversation with him, Dos. He actually, had a bit of intelligence about him and had a bit of spunk.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, Teddy's he's one of our greats. He was a player that we as Queenslanders just love to hate, because I don't know if you noticed, right? He's not big.
No, not at all big.
But I tell you, there's not too many players that I can think about as a fullback that break more tackles than him. He's so obviously his pace, bit like Walsh. He's not a big person, but he's powerful and he just seems that, they do all this scrummaging and stuff these days. They just seem to be able to never hold him down, Teddy. But I agree, he was a lovely chap, and I really enjoyed his company. I didn't really. I had met him before, but I hadn't really spent the time that we spent around him the other day. And of course, like Bluey, JB, he's an ambassador for Sporting Chance as well. So, yeah, unbelievable effort from Teddy.
All right, boys, I'm enjoying this. That's your team's completed. We've got some big episodes coming up, by the way. Michael Vaughan, I think, is locked in. We're hoping we can latch on to Broady at some stage. You and I, Bluey, have got a job to do Sunday to get out onto Optus Stadium and lasso Travis Head. So
I was going to say, because we're getting too many Poms, aren't we? We've already had Swanee. You just mentioned another couple, so we need some Aussie flavour.
All right, we'll get Heady hopefully involved. So the build-up to this Ashes is going to mean guests on the show, and that will be absolutely brilliant. Thank you both.
Champions. Good to see you. I'll see you on Sunday.
Hope you've enjoyed All Over Bar the Cricket, wherever you get your podcasts, of course, and YouTube to watch it live. We'll see you next week.